now that we understand our positioning, again, this is so important. Once you understand how much net you're covering and puck angles, then you can start playing a very efficient system. The biggest thing now is, I remember even in college hockey, I was big. I was almost 6'2", big gear. I had no idea how much net I covered. So then I would over move, or I would feel more nervous before shots because I didn't feel like I had it covered. So really take the positioning, understand it, video yourself from this puck angle where the camera is directly behind the puck. It will be key for you to understand what you're covering and what you need to. So now that we understand positioning, we understand the angles and depth and box play, if you will, or the puck angles. Now when we get there, we need to be in a perfect setup. The biggest mistake I see guys make is right here. Their weight goes in their heels, not on their toes. And another way to know that your weight's in your heels is you're kind of in your butt, meaning if you were to take a picture, someone looks at you, it almost looks like you're sitting in a chair. Do not be back in a chair. Be on your quads. All the weight should be in your quads, on your toes. And I always say goaltending takes work. Like, you should feel like you are working when you're in your stance. If you don't feel like you're working, you feel like you could sit there all day, you're not in a dynamic enough setup, and you're just going to have slower reactions, which is obviously not good for a goalie. So let's start with that number one priority. Weight on your toes, weight in your quads. If you were to jump, so I challenge you right now, just pause this video and get in your stance on the ground in your feet and shift your weight from your heels to your toes and feel the difference in your body. Hold each one for 2 or 3 seconds. Do it now, seriously. Go in your heels, shift to your toes, heels to toes. And you kind of want to feel, in my opinion, of course you want your whole skate blade nice, but you want to feel your weight kind of forward. You want to feel like you can pick up that heel if you want. Like, I want all of your strength, all of your control in your toes. This alone will massively improve your goaltending. You will be so much faster, so much quicker. Okay, so now that we have our weight in our quads, on our toes, and not in our heels and our butt, now we can play the game, because that allows us to drop straight down in a millisecond. That's the key. We have to be able to get down to the ice. The only way we can get down to the ice is to have that weight forward in our toes. Now, what else? We talk a lot about if you can see the puck with your feet set and you're in position, you can save it. So we just learned position. I think we have that covered. Now let's get into this setup where we see it and our feet are set. Again, weight in our toes, and I like his feet just outside his shoulders like this. I know it's cool. There's a lot of guys that are getting really wide, and I kind of did this too. And what I realized, one, you can just see from puck angle, he's almost posting in with a relatively narrow stance. So if you're any wider, just ask yourself, what are you covering? And then once you understand that, okay, I'm not covering anything extra, then why are you doing it? Well, because you can drop faster. I know that. I know that we get wide because then we feel like we have the quickest butterfly ever. But we get locked in, meaning it becomes so challenging to get out of it. And we go over this. We have a whole category on setup and stance because it's that important. It's really, your skating is the key to your success. But if you can't get in the right setup, you'll never be able to make the save quick enough. So again, this is so important. Weight on your toes, just outside your shoulders, and then stay narrow. Keep them under you like Joey here. I like this width. This is as wide, I think, as you should ever get. So now that you are here, now you're in a perfect balanced position. And that's key. You can move or make a save. And by being able to move or make a save, like right here, shot comes, you see how naturally he can drop down. Now, again, if you're wider, you can still drop like this, but I don't think you can move. Joey can move from this stance, and he can drop immediately down. So, great width on his feet, just outside his shoulders. His weight is obviously in his quads and his toes. That's how he drops so quickly. Now, gloves. I like gloves forward, meaning off your body. They should be, let's call it, 6 to 12 inches in front of your body. And one reason is it allows you to naturally track down into it. That in itself makes this worth it. 2, remember puck angles from the positioning video. He comes down and meets this puck. This same save here would be like a windmill glove save back here, but that's way less efficient. It opens the net again. We'll get into this in saves. But By having your gloves forward, you can move directly into it. Do you see that? He just one movement directly down. Very, very efficient. If your gloves are back, now it's a lot more movement. It's very delayed. So gloves forward 6 to 12 inches off your body. Next up, Schwartzy, the Edmonton Oilers goalie coach, says this. I love it. Act like you have a football under your arm. Do you see this little gap right here? This allows your hands to be loose. I see too many guys with their elbows glued to their sides. It's very rigid. It's very awkward. Be loose. Be athletic. Kind of just try it right now. Pretend like you're holding a football between essentially your bicep and your side. That we want a little gap. We want to be loose. We want to have these hands ready. Gloves always facing down to the puck. We know where pucks come from, the ice. Make sure your gloves are big to the puck. See how his is facing down? Now, if you want to hold yours at a different glove angle, that's fine with me. But it's more important that they're off your body and forward. Now, the last thing that we want to get into, so now we've got his base. We started with his setup. Stick on the ice for me. If your toe's just on the ice, that's fine. His whole blade is, that's great too. Now, because he's got his weight in his quads, his body kind of looks like this. So it's sharp angles. This is his back angle, which allows his head to look down. So this is sort of like his quads right here that are working. This, and by being forward like this in these sharp angles, his back angle is really sharp. If we were to, we'll get another view of this, but he is on a forward angle, which one, cuts off puck angles, which is huge. But two, it allows his head to look directly down to the ice. Now, I've talked about OR Sports. You guys know how important the visual attachment is, or the eyesight, or whatever you want to call it. The only way your head can really look down on this level, which is where you want, is by having a nice strong back angle. Because if you don't have that back angle, if you stand straight up and then you look down like this, it's kind of awkward. I mean, just try it right now. Like put your body straight up in the air and try looking down. So you want your head to naturally be looking down at the puck. That comes from a nice deep knee bend, weight in your quads, aggressive chest angle, and a forward head trajectory, if you will. That's where OR Sports comes from. Again, those guys are brilliant. Check them out. Okay, last thing here, gloves are lower to the puck. Puck must travel up to meet you. Nothing over the net. We talk a lot about, I played with Scrivs, and he had his glove way up top here, cocked over the net. That is covering nothing. Like you can see Joey's is pretty low, and it's already covering bar down. Perfect. So feet set, weight on your toes, good sharp knee bends. Like you should be working here. You should feel this. It should be hard to hold your stance for a long time. Good back angle, head looking down. This is an elite setup. And when you have an elite setup, you can see how easy this save looks for him. Saves become easy. So that's why I joke you not, when you're in position, your feet are set and you can see it, the save becomes very easy. You can see this as a post-in shot from the most dangerous part on the ice, and it just looks easy for him. And that's what we're going to get into next, easy saves. So it comes from an elite setup, and make sure you're doing it great.